Friday. Welcome to the arrange along this week. I am going to do something a little bit different this week in that I've got last week's flowers here, and before we start arranging this week's, and whilst people start to join us, there's always a bit of time, we're waiting, I thought I would do something with last week's flowers. So I'm just going to put this week's flowers to one side and I'm going to sort out last week's flowers. Now, I think I added a couple to them, but I was really naughty this week and I did not keep changing the water, so they haven't lasted brilliantly, but it doesn't matter. They still lasted quite well, but if you do change the water, then they will last a lot longer. So I'm just going to go through them and I'm going to decide what is worth saving and what has definitely had it. So that cosmos is great still. This is not. So I'm just going to take out some of the bits that really are dead. And I might get a couple more days from them if I just put them into bud vases. So this lasts ages, and also you can dry this. So if you're just joining, welcome. Don't worry, you haven't missed anything. I'm just going through last week's flowers and deciding what I could put into little bud vases, what is completely dead and needs chucking and putting on the compost. And I think all of these here are very much dead. So this week we don't have allotment, Lucy, because I had pick your own today, my first pick your own session on the field. And basically there was somebody who got lost. They booked last minute, so they didn't have the instructions for how to find us, and they got lost, and so they've only just arrived on the field, so she's just going to sort them out instead. So hopefully any questions I will try and answer if I can see them. So I've just got these three little bud vases, and I'm going to put the things that I think still look half decent. I'm going to recut the stems and put them in these bud vases. And I think I'll probably get a couple of days from them. So you could do this towards the end of the week, next week, when you have got, your flowers are starting to kind of fade a little bit. You could just do this. So with your snapdragons, if you remove the lower flowers that are tired, they sort of fade, these pink ones, but I think they look beautiful when they're faded. And I'm just taking off those dead ones there. And then I can basically enjoy these flowers some more without them looking too bad. Nice little short stems. So I think actually that little Bells of Ireland has got a bit of life left in it. So let's put it in there. And those I can leave on a table or somewhere, and I'm still going to get a couple more days from them. It bugs me that there's mess on the seeds on the there, so let's just clear that, so we're starting the next arrangement with a bit of a cleaner table. So there you've got three very sweet little bud vases, and you're gonna get a couple more days from them. I think they look lovely in a little row in the middle of a table, but you could also dot them around. I often have one by my kitchen sink, I also have one by my bathroom sink, bedside table, that sort of thing. So worth doing that with your leftover flowers. So this week, these are our flowers. Here they are. Okay, so I don't post them, but I put them in the gel. I leave them for the same amount of time in the gel and usually wrapped up in some paper, so I've got the same sort of experience as you. And then I put them in water, cut the stems off, wash the gel off, and there we go. There's quite a few this week. I've got a bit of an abundance of flowers, so I've given you more flowers than I might normally, and I will always do that. If I've got loads of flowers, I'd rather you enjoy them, so I will always send them out. Pretty much, that one is looking a little bit like it's tired. I don't know if anyone else has got that. This Verbena Boniaris is really fabulous at travelling. You could go on a plane. So the verbena, what we're going to do is what we do every week, which was taking off a lot of the leaves. So you can decide how much you want to take off. So you could take off these little side buds as well. I think I will on this. But if you want to have it look a little bit fuller, then you would leave those on. So same here, this side bit on this Annie. This is Annie Naga. I'm going to take that off. Look at that wonderful wibbly wobbly stem. So take any bits off that you don't want. If you like the foliage, you can keep it on. Just make sure that you really have taken off anything that's going to sit in the waterline. And this piece of sparkling fountain grass that I absolutely adore, you could just cut those little tails of grass off so it's just lovely and airy. I don't know what happened to him, but he's not happy. These ones are happier, but if you have any little droopy bits, just cut them off. So I always say that in my boxes, I always would send you more than what is the kind of equivalent of that price of flowers, just in case a couple of stems don't survive. Also, another thing that really does well in the box, zinnias. Take those leaves off. So I'm going to just take all these leaves off and then I'll talk through, because I sort of half started talking without telling you what's what. So I'm going to take that one off, but I'm going to leave those two on. Another loveliness here, this grass. Again, you could leave that very straight bit on, and if that starts to fade in the week, you could cut it off, but this should open up and splay more. So it's a perennial grass, that, and I love it. And then we've got a dahlia. Dahlia's looking a little bit bruised, but it should be perking up. The dahlias, because their heads are quite heavy, they will sort of almost need to be supported in the arrangement with other flowers. Certainly the bigger ones. There's a chocolate cosmos. I can't smell it, but I don't know if anyone else has got a chocolate cosmos and they can smell it, because apparently it smells like chocolate, milk chocolate. But I had people to the field and I was explaining this and they could all smell it, but for whatever reason I can never smell it. I don't know why. Just going to see if there's no questions that I've seen so far. So let's have a look at what we've got then, and I'll explain it. Here is the statice or limonium. This will dry well, so once everything is faded, you could keep this and dry it and use it in wreaths in the winter or a little dried arrangement. Then we've got chocolate cosmos. This is a dahlia. Got some other cosmos there. Zinnias. Grass. Amyvis naga. So there's Ami majus and Amyvis naga. This is a panicum frosted explosion or sparkling fountain. This is a Astrantia. This one really, it isn't looking brilliant. We'll have to see how that fares in the week. And then we've also got some snapdragons, another dahlia, Verbena bonyaris, sunflower, ruby eclipse, and a couple more cosmos I've got. So everyone will have the sort of similar equivalent. I try and make sure that everyone has the same, but you might have slightly different colour dahlias or snapdragons. But yeah, more or less. Now, because we've got quite big flowers at this time of year, so big dahlias, big sunflowers, it's a bit more floriferous and more discs. So these are sort of seen as like discs in floristry. So I wanted to use this vase. I also think it will work with the colours, but you've seen me use this one before. It's a really good vase. I got it from Dunelm and it works really well with the amount of flowers that I give you. It's nice and short, what's really important, but it's not too wide here, but it's wide enough that the flowers can splay. So what to start with? I think I'm going to start with, a bit of that. I'm going to maybe put in a zinnia. That zinnia is quite long. So what I try to do is create different heights. If you've been watching these for a few weeks now, you'll see that there's a pattern in what I do, which is creating different heights and shape. Okay, so sunflowers, I often put the sunflower, I don't particularly like the stems of sunflowers, so I often put them quite low in the vase. and at the front, and then they tend not to dominate, but at the same time you really do appreciate them. Okay. This dahlia, because this dahlia is quite heavy, I am going to keep it relatively short on the stem, just so it's supported. Again, the zinnia stems are quite thick and chunky, so I wouldn't have them sticking up above everything else. Use this status just to create a bit of cover for those stems. You can see there, just a bit of cover for the stems, like a foliage. We haven't really got any foliage this week. The Bells of Ireland, there is another succession of it coming, so there will be more, but it's not really, it's not brilliant, the stuff I've got on the field now, so I don't want to send it to you. So we've got these things instead. I've given you more flowers. Now, I might put that in at the end. This one, he does look tired. I don't think he's going to last for ages, but I'm going to pop him in there so he'll fill in the space as well. And then the cosmos, I am going to allow that just to bobble around a bit like this. I think that's slightly too high. I'm going to allow it to sort of just stick up. And the same with this one. Just have a look at it. Oh, Coco, you can come in a second. Coco's desperate to come in. Yes, Coco. It's very hard for me doing this arranging from behind. I'm getting better at it, but I have to keep coming and checking. So sometimes what I do is I put the flower in and it's perfect and I'm really happy like that. Other times I walk around and I'm like, oh, I don't really like it. So that frosted explosion, I'm just going to have it there, just frothing up against things. And then this long grass as well, I'm going to just have that in there, just sticking up so we can appreciate it. Maybe I'll put it over on the other side. These, because they're not looking great, I'm just going to put them quite low down so they sort of fill in, but they're not going to be really on display. And there's that chocolate cosmos. I think I might put that over there so it just touches in with that. So, there we have it. Really pretty arrangement, lovely colours this week. I really love all these colours. And the flowers really do all the talking. So the key things to think about when you're arranging, think about different heights, think about whether you like certain stems, and if you don't like them, then make sure you keep the lengths short, or you can cover them with other flowers, using those discs, as you can see, to cover some of those stems. Light, airy, wibbly wobbly bits sticking up above so you can really appreciate them, and that's all there is to it. So I will leave you to your weekends. I hope you will have a lovely weekend. I'm a bit glammed up today because I'm going out for dinner, which is nice. For a Friday night, feels a bit unusual because I haven't done this for a while, but I'm looking forward to going out, and it's been nice putting on a nice dress. And yeah, I will keep trying to change that water as often as you can. The vessel wants to be as super clean, just as clean as a glass that you would drink from, and change your water. Keep your flowers out of direct sunlight. That will mean that they'll last longer. It's definitely worth it. And you can also go past the arrangement, as you know, and as things look a bit faded, take them out rather than thinking, oh, it looks a bit sad now. Take out the things that make it look sad. And if you feel like you need to fill it in with something else, grab something from the garden or from a walk and just add a bit of foliage to fill it in and make it last a bit longer. Right, that's it. Thank you so much. Please do share your arrangements with me, whether you feel confident enough to put them up on your own Instagram or Facebook. But if you don't, then just send me them. It's so nice to see them, and it always lifts me seeing your arrangements. And if you are sharing them on Instagram, use the hashtag Jazzy Rose Flowers, so we can all search for that hashtag and see them. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll be back next week with more flowers. Thank you so much for joining me, and I don't think there's been any questions, so thank goodness Lucy wasn't here. All right then, have lovely weekends. Bye bye.